What's a man or a king? What's it a saying? Advancing the line, advancing the payment. You from the game and shoot what said as you claim it. It's that Xbox, spin the block, his legs slide. Fast talker, no riddling, moonwalking, selling moon rock just to make dividends. You in traffic with family? That much making a portrait. Gun kick back, not grannies from porches. David on the scene, you know that it's scorching. What's a man or a king? What's it a saying? Advancing the line, advancing the payment. You from the game and shoot what said as you claim it.
You already know the time, told my boys to hold the line. We gon' shoot it out in seconds, leave you posted like a vine. Bow your head down to the king, leave your roses at the shrine. We stay ready for the war, just need the king to drop the sign. Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? Say what you running from, what you running from? I'm with my team, we bleed green, that's what you wanted, huh? This what you wanted. This what you wanted, huh?
Peace and blessings, and welcome back to Xbox Frontline News with your boy, the King. And today is Monday, the start of a beautiful week, going into October. The last day of the month is September, and we have a good October showing up. So if you got a chance to watch the Tokyo Game Show, with the controversy that I did give the show, hopefully I could give you a little bit of redemption to understand my viewpoints today. But also, hope you've been playing the Game Pass, because Game Pass has dropped a whole bunch of stuff. So if it's your first time finding the channel, like, follow, subscribe, all that great stuff, yada, yada, yada. While we get into these topics today are a little bit different, a little bit great, a little bit more, a little bit extra. We have some stuff here, and we're trying to figure out what the hell is going on in this generation. We have too many things that seem samey, and a lot of things is a little bit overpriced. Where do you stand on these things? What is transforming? What is happening? And what games are you looking forward to at the end of the year? How do you game? These questions will be asked throughout this whole show, and I want your input. And also, if you're a member, I need your help. All members are asked to leave comments so I can help you get free games. What I'm going to start doing right now is members. The Discord is up. I'm going to lock a Discord just for members. The Discord is up. It's Xbox Frontline for Gamers. That is on our Discord at Lords of Gaming Network. So go in there, join that Discord, and I'm going to lock it, and I'm going to be giving out game codes to members at least twice a month, right? So come check it out. Come have some fun. And also give me some input, because I want, just like this last Friday with this community stream, I want all you guys to have fun, show up, show out, and interact with each other. We have to get back to gaming. Stop worrying about sales. Stop worrying about tech and all this other stuff. It's good to talk about, but at the end of the day, a good game is a good game no matter what. So let's get back to these games, and let's get back to fellowship and gaming. All right, so Palworld for the PlayStation 5 gets a minor update. What is expected is patch fixes and stuff like that. So both games are probably equal to the PC and Xbox. They already have those. Those platforms aren't missing out on anything. The full patch notes official to the game is officially on Twitter. The bigger thing happened in the Palworld right now is Nintendo is looking to file that lawsuit over in the US. Now, they went the easier route to get that passed over in Japan. That game is not on the PlayStation market in Japan. I want to know what happens with the injunction when it's launched in the US. If they actually get that lawsuit going in the US, does it remove Palworld from the marketplace? Does it change it? I do believe that Jeff Keighley on his, I think it was Summer Game Fest, or was it the Game Awards, regardless to what, calling it Pokemon with guns didn't help it, because that became a stigma that stuck with it. Not saying that is right or wrong. I'm just saying that that stigma stayed with it, and that's how it is interpreted to anyone that wants to see the game. Anybody that talks about the game, they say, well, it's a Pokemon with guns, right? Is that a true analysis of the game? Not really. But at the same time, it does have a similar art style. Some of the characters do look like they're from the Pokemon universe, and that within itself is not egregious. But what is egregious is, I guess that the mechanic that they use in order to catch the pals instead of Pokemon is a ball. In Pokemon, you use a ball as a Poke Trainer to catch Pokemon. So that changes the conversation. I think Nintendo's attacking it from that end. I don't think they're talking about an artistic end as far as creativity goes when it makes characters, because then you will have DC and Marvel having a bunch of issues, because there's a lot of characters that are over in Marvel that look like DC characters, and a lot of characters that's over in DC that look like Marvel characters or have similarities that they share. Me personally, I think Palworld is different enough to stand on its own. But this lawsuit is a little bit concerning because the game is not being marketed in the Japanese region for the PlayStation, which was announced at the Tokyo Game Show. It's around the world and other places. But what is a little bit more concerning is now the newest lawsuit that Nintendo is bringing forth, which will attack it in the US and where it's actually being played and released. What does that do to Palworld in those regions? That is the concerning part. Does Pocket Pair bend the knee and lose completely because we already see that they're not able to distribute that game into the PlayStation fan base in Japan? What does that turn into? I have no idea. I hope it doesn't get far worse than what we're seeing, because if it does, then that means ideas and implementations of things are going to go down a dangerous path, i.e. Space Marines and Gears of War. What if they say that Space Marine sword is too close to cutting somebody up with a Lancer? That's what I'm talking about. Do you understand what I mean? Those things changes a conversation, and those conversations turn into something a little bit tricky. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Nintendo is not flattered, not in the least. And they're making a stink large enough to make a sinkhole in the wallet of Pocket Pair. I hope Pocket Pair put money away for a rainy day, because, brother, you need it at this moment, because Nintendo will not stop. They will expend as much resources as possible to shutter your doors and close that gate to get you on the hook for the rest of your life. I don't know what the end game is to this, but I'm heavily invested in seeing the outcome, because that outcome will dictate what happens next in our marketplace when it comes to IPs, and thinking that IP infringement is happening when places might not have it. It might not be real, but what is perception becomes people's reality. And when that reality actually hits reality, it's a wake-up call for us all. Now on to some diabolical work right now. The PlayStation 5 new ads replace game art on the dashboard, and some players don't like it. Sony's latest way to monetize the PlayStation 5 consoles is covering the dashboard with unwanted ads that you cannot get out of. Now, I'm going to tell you something. See, a lot of times people think that it's just certain little things like this, right? You see this right here, Happy May 4th and all this other stuff. It changes exactly what it is. People is on Twitter. Wait, after paying $600 for a console and $80 for a single game and $30 a month for online connectivity, you have to eat ads all the time. How long is Sony going to pretend and keep milking you? I'm telling you, Twitter's ablaze with this, right? And Sony is finding a new way to pass on their losses to the consumer. I told you, hashtag no PlayStation 6. We're going to run it up on these bums. I'm going to keep the boot on Kong's neck this whole generation. There won't be no PlayStation 6 because you are souring the fan base to the point where you're doing remakes and remasters of stuff that they don't want. You have a Horizon Online from Guerrilla Games being produced and pushed next coming online game. Is that game a good game? We don't know. But do people really like that franchise like that? I don't think so. I think that franchise is the detriment to you guys, honestly, because they've been trying to make that franchise stand out as much as possible, with the fan base probably saying they don't really want that. But at the end of the day, pushing advertisements to individuals that purchased a box, you spend the money for the box. Now you go and it's on your dashboard. On the art picks, I mean, that's egregious. Xbox does it to a small extent. You will have a little piece of something, but you click on it and you go in and you see whatever it is. And then you don't remember the pop-up for Call of Duty. You just click the button and it's gone. This thing is on the dash when you highlight a game. So instead of having your background artwork that you had before that was so dope and looked so good, now you have advertisements shilling for a game that you already own. What diabolical crap is that? Why are you trying to sell me something I already have? Does that make any sense? I'm at a point with them where you guys will continue to take every and anything, and they will continue to do you like they choose. When are you guys going to demand more? When is the day that you guys are going to wake up and say, this is enough? Enough is enough. But you won't. You will continue to complain. You will continue to yell. But you will continue to eat the poop because that's what you do. It sucks. It's life. Will it ever change for you? I doubt it. But at the same time, I have never seen this level of disrespect to the fan base in the manner in which they're doing it, but yet Xbox is the one that is doing bad. When are you going to wake up and realize it's just a shakedown and you're the person being shooken? Man.
I need you to give me some money. Okay? I need you to give me like $5, like $20, something like that, because I'm in some trouble.
Now, for as much flack that I got for the Tokyo Game Show, as an assessment as a consumer, I am not ignorant enough to know that the Tokyo Game Show wasn't geared towards me. The Tokyo Game Show was geared towards the Asian fan base in which it's trying to captivate. And I feel that Xbox, out of the big three, is the only one that's qualified to bring Western games to an Asian market. And the same way we are enamored with Asian culture, Eastern culture, there are some, if not a large, fan base that is also enamored with Western culture. That's why I believe that the PlayStation had diversified their portfolio to a point where they already had acquired a large set of Asian games and Asian-centric sensibilities, and also broadened their horizons to single-player, story-driven narrative games in order to bridge the gap to that ecosystem. which I feel that Xbox and Microsoft has a unique capability of giving you titles that are so robust and so completely different from their competitor that they can only facilitate to a Western market that maybe is enticed or probably starved for that type of gameplay, which you say here, Vessel of the Hatred, and that game being brought to them only because of Xbox. Not saying that it's not available on other consoles. What I'm trying to explain to you, if you only purchase one console and you purchase that console, what's going to give you exactly what you're looking for? What's going to change your opinion of that box, or what's going to make the deciding factor for you in your environment? And if Xbox is showing the willingness to also incorporate your sensibilities and your traditions, as well as bring over Western sensibilities and Western traditions, there is no flight simulator on the PlayStation or Nintendo. Flight Simulator is available here. That game brings people in. Starfield brings people in. Those games make it that, wow, they have Gears, they have Halo, they have Forza, and they also have all the RPGs that I love, but they also have all the Western RPGs that I'm interested in. And those titles changes the way that Xbox distributes. So the fact that they are working, striving hard to bring these Western games to an Eastern market, you gotta have some respect for that. So at the end of the day, if I'm going to do the corporate shield thing, I'm going to tell you that the show was at 8, right? For the corporate shill, right? For the consumer that is based in the Western market, yeah, that show was not for you. But at the end of the day, the show was marketed to individuals to get into an ecosystem, to experience titles that can only be brought to you by the Xbox platform that is central to them. And if they have Game Pass and you have a Series S, or you have a low barrier of entry to get you into the ecosystem, Fire Stick or whatever, they're doing their due diligence to get that to you. And games like StarCraft, those games go hard over in that market. And they also signed a large deal with Korea. Microsoft and Xbox is expanding in these territories to bring those territories games that seems like these territories are necessary to have them. I'm not going to lie. Xbox has done a fantastic job in doing so, and I appreciate everything that they're doing there. As a consumer, I told you the show was a 5. But as a corporate shill, that show was an 8. That's me looking out for the corporation opposed to my own personal wants and needs. My own personal wants and needs are I played majority of those games. But for you guys that didn't play most of those games, that show was an astounding show for you, because it showed you the willingness and the effort in order to bring localization to titles like Indiana Jones. Those things are done to you, for you, by them. That is the difference between one and the other. So with that being said, you know what it is. They worked hard. They played hard. They got the games that was necessary in order to have boots on the ground, have conversations with people to show you that they are willing to put in the effort. That counts for something. And you know what brought this to you? Having the conversation last ILP with my cousin Cog and seeing it from his standpoint. Willingness to listen and learn changes a whole lot of things. Now, my controversial take on the Tokyo Game Show has been undermined by Xbox fan base across the boards, and I will give an assessment based off of now corporate shilling, if you will, when it comes to it, opposed to consumer-based content, which that I bring to you, right? So I'm going to give you my corporate analysis later. But what Phil Spencer congratulates the Tokyo Game Show host on doing an amazing job. And this is so great because this is her tag on X, well, Twitter. And this is her encounter with Phil, you know. So
thanks for being in our show. You were so good.
You get a chance to see her and him have the conversation.
In the show. Yes.
Hi, how are you? Good to see you again. It was so great, the show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so
Yeah. And I always love your outfits. They're so beautifully put together.
Yeah.
Always.
写真撮ってもいいですか? Let's take a photo.
Okay. Take a photo. Take a photo.
You want it?
You want to take a photo? Yeah.
So you see,
Stand middle. Yes.
That's so cute, actually.
This is your phone, right?
Yeah.
that's the difference between all other companies. A lot of you guys try to figure out why I like Xbox. And, you know, I always tell you, you know, his name is Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer, first of his name. And the reason why I gave him that is because he brought back the console or the brand that I grew to love completely from the moment that I saw it. It was like moment at, you know, love at first sight. Because I had lost Sega and I lost TurboGrafx, and I've been on the losing end of consoles going the way of the dinosaur. And I saw my console at the brink. And it was given to an individual that they felt that we'll give it to him, it'd die. The same way I'm seeing reports out right now that Sony felt that the PlayStation was going to fail. PlayStation 1, Ken Katarugi, father of the PlayStation, said that Sony had low expectations for the device. Well, I felt that Microsoft threw Xbox to the wolves, and the Xbox One generation was sink or swim, with Phil taking the helm. And to see how far they're making it in Tokyo, I gave you a raw assessment of my opinion of the show based on me as a consumer. Now I'm going to give you another assessment based off of region stuff and stuff like that, you know. But again, their willingness to be there, to be present, to be with the consumer. They're not one of the guys. Yes, they're shareholders, and they do have incentives in order to sell. I'm not taking away from that. I'm not shying away from that. But what I am saying is, I'm a very good judgment reader of character. Very good. I pride myself on that. It's very seldom you will get past my radar detection system with BS. And I genuinely know for a fact Phil is a genuine great dude when it comes to he was the perfect person at the perfect time in order to save what I felt was the perfect brand, which is Xbox. And it's awe-inspiring to see the rise of the low guy on a totem pole, to now be the guy moving and shaking and calling the shots and having stock options and all this wonderful stuff. I can always say that it couldn't have happened to a better guy, a genuine person, a person that is willing to take the slings and arrows for other people's mistakes. But because he's the head, he stays there. He answers the tough questions. And I'm going to tell you guys, you can see a drastically different approach in how he handles team and management opposed to the competition. Respectfully, you can look at everything that Sean Layden has done and said. Respectfully, you can look at Jim cashing out his stocks while the PlayStation stock price was higher. Respectfully, you can see Herman Holtz not coming out and having a town hall meeting on the death of Concord. But anytime anything has gone wrong, anything that has gone awry, that man, Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer, first of his name, has always been forward-facing and present to be there, to be held accountable. And if that doesn't tell you the measure of a person, I don't know what else would. But I also know that the person that was standing right next to him, the CEO over at Xbox, has a genuine heart, and she definitely has the chops to take over the top spot. I didn't know if she could, but after meeting, seeing, and analyzing everything that she does, they're in good hands. In another instance with Mr. 98% right is right all the time, Space Marine 2 is heavily influenced by Gears of War. Dev always wanted to make a 360 sequel when I told you that Space Marines felt like the spiritual successor to Gears of War. It was no disrespect to the Gears of War franchise. You inspire individuals to expound on what you laid down to grow into a different space. Yeah, the cover mechanic works well. I think that was brought to you by Switchback, if anybody remembers. And what Gears did was they took the cover base mechanic and they excelled and expounded on it, and they did the most with it. But what Space Marines does is it takes that and it does more stuff that is really crazy with it. So I do appreciate Space Marines 2 for being everything that it is, and I am excited to see exactly where it goes to, because this is my first Warhammer game that I'm truly invested in, and I knew it had to be divinely inspired by what Gears brought, because it gives off that Gears type vibe, right? But a Space Marine doesn't and won't use a cover-based system because they are like Spartans, right? So I don't know which is greater. I don't know if a Spartan is greater than a Space Marine, but I do know they are the elite of the elite. Dope stuff. If you haven't tried Space Marines 2, I highly recommend it, especially if you're a Gears fan. Don't look at it with disdain. Go check it out. Go play Space Marines 2 if you definitely want to get that Gears feel. If you can't wait for the new Gears to come out, and you PlayStation port begging ponies, the only way you're going to get close to Gears is buying Space Marines 2. So stop begging for Gears to show up over there and go buy Space Marines 2 and have some fun with the game, because the game is inspired by Gears, and you're inspired to beg, and I'm inspired to tell you no. Go buy Space Marines 2, because that's the closest you're gonna get. God bless. Hot diggity dog. The Smurf Dreams Xbox Series demo is out now ahead of its October release. I'ma tell you, I'm a Smurf head. I don't care what you say. I'm a Smurf head, right? So I'm definitely gonna go download this demo. I cannot wait to play this demo. Hold on, man. Is this not showing in 4K or 1080p? All right, get that off. Yo, you look at it, you see it? I am a 3D platformer fun nut. Like, and I love stupid stuff like this. The reason why I like Astrobot and stuff, dudes don't understand. I love 3D platformers, and they're fun. Nintendo has definitely shown the way with all their wonderful 3D platformers. So to have the Smurfs in that same vein, yes, I say thank you, sir. May I have another? I definitely want to see more of this, play more of this. Smurfs. Man, to have your childhood loves still relevant to this day, and to see them shown in animation styles far greater from when they were initially introduced, like Transformers, G.I. Joe. I only can hope that other franchises like the Smurfs, like Silverhawks, like GoBots, like those make it back. Because He-Man was highly successful, and it's an incredible journey into what we have become. I am fortunate enough to have lived long enough to see different age groups fall in love with characters that I grew up with. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Never knew that was going to be the phenomenon that it turned out to be. But it turned out to be a great phenomenon. It is exactly what we expected. And to see the Smurf game show up. The last Smurf game I had was on ColecoVision. And now to have this, I collect all the little individual Smurfs when I was younger. I even had the Smurf Maker. So I know it feels like I'm going on about a game that is possibly minute to you, but it's monumentous to me to see that established franchises from my youth are still viable and thriving to this day in order to make a game about Smurfs. Man, I am ultimately happy that this is coming out, and I'm definitely going to go play the demo. I probably stream it because I believe platforming games should always be celebrated. That's why I'm disappointed that Astrobot isn't selling at the rate that it should be. And I can only base that off of the fact that it should have launched on the PC day and date, because these port begging ponies do not buy any games, and they are the detriment of the PlayStation fan base. The PlayStation 4 guys are still over there, and you got to get them over, because these PlayStation 5 guys is just cappers and slappers, and I can't stand them. If anybody knows, I'm a huge Sea of Thieves star. Sea of Thieves, Sea of Stars fan. Local co-op is hitting the machine November 12th, I believe, right? And that is the Dawn of the Equinox DLC update, and that's November 12th, day and date inside Game Pass. Local gameplay is great. You might see my son and I stream this during the week on my Twitch channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more streaming, especially with my son. He's, off this week or whatever from school. So we're going to dig into some video game streaming. You're going to see us doing some Nintendo stuff, but I do like Sea of Stars, and I think Sea of Stars is one of those great games. So doing this, the ability to sit local co-op gives you a different sense of joy and wonderment, and you build memories. So I always love local couch co-op, and to see one of the games that I thought was game of the year, which is Sea of Stars, the year that it did drop, having this feature only makes it a whole lot better. So kudos to Sea of Stars for being exactly who they are. Starfield adds 12 new Xbox achievements to the Shattered Space DLC that is out today. If anybody knows anything, that you know, today is Shattered Space Day, and it's a wonderful day. You know, if you happen to game or purchase the Constellation Edition, or partake in it in Game Pass, or purchase the game within itself, I love the aesthetics of everything. My keyboard is steeped in Starfield. I have a headset that I got the Starfield headset. I have the wrap for my Series X, well, one of my Series X's, and I have the controller. Man, oh man. And we was also got the console, the game itself from Microsoft, because we had to do a review on it. And I tell you, I'm a complete fraud when it comes to it in certain aspects to it, because I haven't maintained and played the main storyline. What I do is I steal ships, I run in there, and I get overwhelmed with so many different things to do that I do nothing, right? But the things that I do, which you may call nothing, is so much fun to me in finding out little things that the game does have. So the 12 new achievements that they do have, and let me just push this right here, put that down. The 12 new achievements that they do have is what remains, broken promises, zealot's revenge, conflict of conviction, other side, exhuming the past, the great unknown, scales citadel, facing your fears, redemption arc, 5 of a kind, and survivor of the promised. Right. So with that being said, you know, that within itself is lending to a wonderful world of Starfield, which you can see here. And that world doesn't ever, and at not one point that I felt cheated or disappointed in this. The Shattered Space DLC itself is handcrafted, where a lot of the worlds was procedurally generated and gave you some barren worlds, right? Not saying that there wasn't stuff to do, but what happens on procedurally generated worlds is random and awe-inspiring within itself, but a crafted story on a crafted planet that is central to pushing key points in storyline and arc directory, that changes how that actually plays. And through all the modding that's available for Starfield, Shattered Space is a welcoming piece of DLC that gives you more, like, you know, bug fixes here and stuff like that, because I think it was like a cap of 255 when it came to how many mods that could be there on the actual game. And once you went over that, it changes something, but they, with this update, kind of fixed that. And I think, like I told you before, this was Todd Howard's, and a lot of you guys call him God Howard, was his seminal project, his project in which he can hang his hat on, which he will be crafting and looking over. This is his Star Wars. As much as Fallout has definitely reaped great benefits when it came to releasing the TV show, Starfield has the potential to reach a fan base that is so much larger due to the scope of the intrigue of space and everything that goes around with it. I believe Todd Howard has always had a winner on his hands when it came to this game, and it's a reason why the port begging ponies are dying for this game. I would be completely envious if I was locked away from that ecosystem at this moment, to be honest with you. But the fact of the matter is, I'm an Xbox subscriber. I'm an Xbox frontline man. This is exactly what I love. And that game is the gift that keeps on giving. Game Pass allows that to happen. I'm going to tell you now, instead of waiting, right? How about this? Go out and purchase yourself. And I'm going to give you some advice, some quick advice. Go out and purchase yourself a refurbished Xbox Series S. Go get it from Amazon on the Amazon Prime October days. I think that's the 8th until the 11th or the 8th until the 16th, something like that. Go purchase it then. The reason why I'm telling you to do the refurbished, I'm giving you a hustle because I picked up a Series X. Let me show you. I picked up a Series X refurbished, right? And sorry. So picked it up, refurbished, right? And I picked that up um for fight night, for for the community day. And I picked it up for 300 and I think it was $310. But see, what happens with the refurbished things, a lot of you guys think the refurbished is somebody, it was broken or whatever. No, it was faulty on the line on which they was making it, the production line. So it was faulty there, and then they took it off the line, found out what was the fault wrong with it, fixed it. They can't sell it as new, right? Even though it's new, never been used, perfect machine. If you know, I've been playing Fight Night Fridays with it. And then they send it out, and they can sell it from their site, or they can give it to Amazon. What I do when I purchase with Amazon, because I'm a Prime member, and not just Prime, but Xbox gives you that warranty too. You get a 2-year warranty with Prime automatically when it comes for this, right? And that within itself gives you the safety net. Now, you're not buying used, you're not buying new. It is new, but is refurbished and comes with a warranty, not just the manufacturer's warranty, the actual seller's warranty, which is greater than the manufacturer's warranty because it's covered under every circumstance. Usually what happens if something goes wrong, you just send them the console, they send you another one. And that's exactly how Prime worked with me. So I'm going to suggest, if you're financially cash strapped right now, and I'm going to give you a little hustle, you go out, you get yourself a Series S. You could probably pay $165 for it right now at the moment, right? You pay $165 for it, and then you say, boom, I'm going to go get me some Game Pass. Get me a little Game Pass. Go get the Constellation edition of Starfield, which is $30. They didn't do like Sony and double the price like they did on the remaster of Horizon. You remember the crap that they pulled? Xbox could have pulled that crap. They didn't. Constellation available. Go get that. You have the DLC. You have the Constellation version. Now you have purchased the game itself, got the DLC, and you're in for under $200. Don't wait. Participate. Be great. And have a blessed day. Shattered Space Day. With everyone that's playing Shattered Space right now. Why limit yourself to a situation that can only hurt you more as a gamer, and instead of expanding your video game vocabulary and your video game knowledge to other gamers, so you too can be included in the conversation, and no longer will you be excluded. You can understand what's happening at all times. Don't limit yourself. You're a consumer. All right? This is not gangs. We're not in a gang. You're a consumer. Be better. I don't want anyone to think that I did not like the Tokyo Game Show. I'm going to tell you that I like the Tokyo Game Show. Majority of the games I played. All right? So that changes how I view things. And listen, I'm a consumer. But 2 massive RPGs had dropped inside Game Pass day and date from them dropping to the console. I think that was huge. And I think that was overlooked. A lot of people probably didn't get a chance to check it out. I mean, you can check out, the trailer for Metaphor, and Metaphor is actually, pretty cool. Check that out. Attic is streaming it from here to there. And it's actually a really, really good game. But that's not the two games that they dropped in there, right? The two games that they dropped in there was some Square Enix. It was Trials of Mana, and the other one was Legend of Mana. And Trials of Mana and Legend of Mana, the way I consume those games, well, I have them, but the way I consume those games, I consume those games on my ROG. I have this weird fetish where it comes that on my ROG, I like to play the old school RPGs, like let's say the Pixel remasters, the Final Fantasy Pixels remasters. I will be playing that on my ROG because I don't think we had that level of fidelity and power back then. When I was growing up, I had the Turbo Express, I had the Vita, I had the Game Boy Advance, I had the Neo Geo Pocket, I had every handheld, the Nomad, and the Nomad was pretty dope. The Sega Game Gear had every handheld, and the Lynx, Atari Lynx. But the ROG, it's the power of some dude's PCs in your hand. Right. So when you have the power of your PC on the go, and I know dudes tell you got to plug into the wall. Trust me, I played a lot worse consoles that burned through a lot more batteries, i.e. the Nomad, i.e. the Turbo Express. And I was tethered to the wall. So that's not a new experience for me. But I appreciate those games more in the form-fitting handheld situation for me, other than a large screen television. So a large screen television, I would like, play Metaphor or something like that. 3D, I want to take the vistas in. I want to see it on a larger scale. Those things are intriguing to me and how I game. But Game Pass, having these two games there, and Payday dropped today too. Those games there are meaty enough, how can I say, in order to satiate your JRPG hunger. Xbox gamers, there is a specific audience that is tailored to JRPGs like myself. And I'm a huge JRPG dude, grew up that way. And now to see that Xbox is actually formulating a plan to go and take care of those things, being that they already conquered the Western world when it comes to RPGs. They are the leaders in providing, making, and distributing all Western RPG content. So in order to make a whole round robin of the situation, they are attacking the Eastern market in the same manner to obtain all the RPGs, to make the device the de facto device for RPGs, because that the RPGs community is a dedicated community. If they're let's say Persona, I believe Persona 6, Salve, I believe Persona 6 will facilitate a new group of individuals to jump over, because with Metaphor, that is the carrot that I'm seeing, that I'm extrapolating the evidence. Atlas is the ones that brought you Metaphor. Atlas is the one that makes Persona. Persona has always been kind of linked to the PlayStation and kind of mixed Xbox day and date. I believe that Persona 6 goes day and date into the Xbox ecosystem. And being that the relationship between Sega and Xbox has all grown, which they should have never been apart. They actually always should have been better. I don't know if it was Sega Japan that had the issue with Microsoft, but Sega of USA has always had a great relationship when it came to Microsoft, right? And Xbox. So to see Sarah Bond head out to Sega to have these conversations in order to bring these titles over. These titles are necessary in making Xbox a strong choice when it comes to getting your RPG fix. So to have almost 90% of all Square Enix RPGs on the Xbox platform, with the Final Fantasy main franchise, with some missing. Now, we do have the issue with Final Fantasy 16 missing the platform, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake and 7 Rebirth at the moment. But from my understandings, the Final Fantasy 16 itself is in development and will be announced and released in 2025. Now, I know you guys are going to say, hey, King, you said that was going to be at the Tokyo Game Show. I told you, somebody was in my DM that said that, and I'm from the Show Me State, and I don't believe it until I see it. But did I hope for the fan base to get the game? Yes, I hoped for the fan base to get the game for the simple fact that I play the game on my PlayStation 5, and I felt that that game itself is warranted and necessary in order for any Final Fantasy fan that happens to be on the Xbox ecosystem. I'm talking about individuals that can't afford two ecosystems, that can only afford one ecosystem with the hope of one game actually making it over. So if you're a fan of the franchise, I'm telling you to hold tight. But at the same time, I'm telling you that Trials of Mana and Tales of Mana are inside Game Pass right now. So if you're a Game Pass subscriber, which you're hopefully your ultimate subscriber, that game is available to you today. For you, those two games are available for you today for you to go try. And hopefully they take you enough time to get to the Final Fantasy 16. And if you're playing Visions of Mana, that game actually works wonderful with you playing these two games in Game Pass. See, this is a strategy that they're using. This is how Game Pass could be leveraged to the point where you say, all right, we have Trials of Mana. You play that. You play Tales of Mana. You play that. You say, well, I like this Mana stuff. What other stuff do you have? Well, you have Visions of Mana that you can actually play. You go and purchase Visions of Mana. You play Visions of Mana. Now your RPG third eye is open and you're saying to yourself, man, I got to get more of this stuff. Where does that happen at? That stuff happens for you over at the Microsoft ecosystem. This is the way that you leverage Game Pass. This is how Game Pass is a success. You calculate what you need to have, what content you need to have inside that ecosystem. You talk to your consumer base. Your consumer base wants this. That consumer base receives this. That takes that to the next level. So the next game in that line of succession will be seen by that individual that had consumed it through Game Pass. Maybe they weren't RPG heads. Maybe they never knew that they were into turn-based RPGs. But after playing it through Game Pass, they said, man, I'm going to buy this because I never want to be without it. And also at the same time, I want to continue down the line to see what else they got. And maybe that opens up the individuals to find out what's more going on at Square and also make new fans. So hats off to Microsoft understanding and reading the room and knowing exactly what to do when it came to becoming the de facto console for RPGs. Okay, well, here's my boy Jason Schreier, and here's guys taking, his stuff out of context. This is an opinion by Jason Schreier, but dudes will like to take stuff as facts. Xbox is just a disaster, says Blizzard and Bethesda Insider, which is Jason Schreier. Hey, best super chat. If you want to hear a good Jason Schreier story from myself, the super chat has to be substantial. Super like, super chat, super thanks, super whatever. Has to be substantial. I'm telling you, it's super juicy, the story. It's funny as hell, and it's enlightening. And there was many people there, so he can't refute it. And I don't think he want me to tell it. But again, these guys are going to say the most respected. This is a slander piece again. Anything with bad news towards Xbox gets traction. So I told you how the algorithm goes. It rewards those that gets the most clicks and views. And everybody seems to be interested in the downfall of Xbox, Microsoft brand itself, Game Pass losing or whatever the hell it is. So Jason Schreier says that, Xbox, in his opinion, has been changing and moving in so many different directions over the couple of years that it actually is a disaster over there. And once they acquired Bethesda, Activision, Blizzard, King, everybody forgets King, bro. But King is bringing it that dough. Yeah, shout out to me for bringing in that dough. Young dude moved that dough. Sorry for the pop up. I should do like Epic, right, and sue Samsung and Google. I had so many articles that I had to throw away because the sound was completely messed up because I messed up something. And I didn't find it out until after I did 4 hours of recording. But jeez, man, you have no idea. the problems of content maker, right? Anyway, this is Jason Schreier's opinion. And he says they're changing course yearly. Everything changes in the marketplace. I honestly believe that both console makers are at an impasse when it comes to what they are looking forward to and what they're trying to make happen. And what they're trying to make happen is a course correction, if you will. These guys got fat off of COVID money and off of people staying home, and that money translated into a false security blanket. The false security blanket with these guys is that is not indicative of how the market actually is. And the fact that now everything is reaching where it's supposed to be, these guys weren't ready for it. They wasn't ready for the rising costs in video game making. So they're looking for AI to offset that. Sony came out and admitted that as such in another article. And at the same time, Xbox is using Game Pass to leverage and offset price rates, but at the same time raising the price inside Game Pass. So they used to have a strategy of a 12-month strategy. They changed that strategy into a now type of 6-month strategy. But at the same time, you're seeing both console manufacturers struggling to bring video games to market. Now, is it because of development time in the video games? Machine learning and AI is supposed to mitigate that and help that, but you also saw a tremendous amount of layoffs. So when you have a tremendous amount of layoffs, do you think productivity is going to be at its highest? No, that's not going to happen. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a fluctuation in the marketplace. The fluctuation in the marketplace is going to actually stagnate growth. Stagnate growth, and what I'm talking about from stagnated growth has to do with the console makers, developers, game producers, and distributors. These, Sony and Xbox, are in kind of the same state. Sony at a higher degree because financially they don't have the capital that Microsoft has. Microsoft has the capital to withstand any changes in the marketplace. So they're able to pivot on a dime and change their direction. Yeah, it's a slow turning ship that's going to get and course correct faster than Sony's would because, again, they don't have the operating costs to sustain such losses. Concord failing in the marketplace is a tremendous blow. Astrobot not achieving numbers that are astronomical is a tremendous blow. The PlayStation 5 Pro not doing or performing in the manner in which they hoped it to or projected it to do is a tremendous hit. So again, you're seeing that hit hurt their overall. Xbox, the acquisition of ABK, getting them acclimated to how Xbox does things, Microsoft does things, is completely different from how ABK does things. It's a wonder that Call of Duty is even launching this year, but they had to focus and be hyper focused on what was their money makers and the stuff that they had to give out. So you do have Vessel of the Hatred showing up. You do have Shattered Space that shows up today. You do have Call of Duty that's dropping out. So for someone to say that Xbox is a disaster, no, what you don't understand is you're not privy to the information necessary for you to make a analytical assessment of what's going on, or a logical assessment of what's going on. Those things, those missing components from your analysis is actually hampering your opinion to something that should be formative in your assessment. But missing those key components, you will come up with their disaster. That is not true. That is not the circumstance. The circumstance is you are not inside. You do not know what's going on, and your inability to have unbiased assessment of what's going on at Xbox, look over at Sony. And I can tell you that's a ship without a rudder. And I can tell you from a biased standpoint, but I can give you a logical, analytical, fact-based reason for all my concerns in that situation. If anyone wants to tell me their concerns is Microsoft isn't selling consoles, I will in turn tell you that software and services is up through the roof 85% year over year. How is that without selling consoles? Oh, well, because they actually sell on PC. They actually have different ways and avenues of making money. And you may say it's counterintuitive to sell to the competition, but I tell you we are in different times, and different times calls for different measures, and drastic things change the way that we actually come to market. So in knowing this, you know now that they do have Fire Stick, they do have this, they do have that. That changes how Microsoft operates. That changes how money happens. So when you're no longer reliant on one level of revenue stream and you make multiple revenue streams, that cash changes how you operate. You no longer operate from a desperation standpoint if your PlayStation 5 Pro doesn't sell. You actually operate from the standpoint that it's no problem because we are up here in services, continue services at a high level, and then we will find the formula to get sales of console to market. Understand the story, understand what's happening. Logical thinking and critical thinking is key, especially when judging the marketplace. Then also go to stocks, go to traders, look at investing, try to figure out exactly what's happening. You're at Bloomberg, right? You have access. Don't let your bias become blinders, because when your bias becomes blinders, you can't see the forest for the trees and you can't accurately predict exactly what's going to happen. I'm accurately predicting what's going to happen because I'm 98% right all the time, because I don't take one source as the absolute. I get multiple sources, bring those multiple sources to bear, look at the multiple sources, extrapolate what are the similarities in the multiple sources to get to the consensus. That is how you logically think about something, and you can come to an agreement which everyone else may not see because they have a bias in pushing an article that is negatively written and skewed to an algorithm that is based on clicks and views and likes in order to make money. See how I did that? I accurately looked and assessed the situation and told you how I formulated an opinion based in fact, based off of this article. And I showed you how to deduce all that is necessary to get an accurate assessment of the issue. And the issue is PlayStation is doing far worse than Xbox, and Microsoft is doing far better than perceived. But due to negative campaigns, smear campaigns, and algorithms based on that aspect, that changes the thought process when it comes to them, because everyone believes they're going in a wrong direction when the market and the stocks tell you differently. Do your research. Be better to do better. The PlayStation 5 Pro hasn't sold out right away, and it's still available. So if you want to go get a console, go get one. I think the $700 price tag has made it prohibitive to the jump-in rate. It hasn't been shown to have a significant impact in how you're viewing your games, and people don't see the value in it. It is an unmitigated disaster when it comes to Sony trying to sell this. We do know that frame rates mean a lot, but you got to weigh the price tag on that. Is those frame rates $500 more? Like if you trade in your console, stuff like that. It doesn't translate. And I think the mismessaging, the bad messaging, the poor messaging, the poor reception of the console is giving diminishing returns as far as it's not hitting, it's not resonating. And you can see from what I'm showing you now on the screen, you can see some of the differences, right? You can see the 60 frames per second. You can see the 120 if you happen to have a television. I think what sets the PlayStation Pro apart, the PlayStation 5 Pro apart, is the fact that you need other accessories in order to take advantage of these things. So if your TV doesn't have VRR, or your TV doesn't have 120 hertz a mode, if your TV doesn't have, is not 8K, if your TV, you need to have accessories around the Pro in order to get everything out of the Pro. So that brings you to a space where you say, is the Pro for every PlayStation gamer or every gamer in general? And that's a resounding no. Everyone has spoke up. The market has spoke up. The fan base has spoke up. Sony has poorly marketed what this device is. Much like Nintendo poorly marketed the Wii U, Sony finds themselves in the same space. Not saying that the Wii U was a mid-generation refresh. The Wii U was a whole new generation within itself. So this being said, this generation, this mid-gen, is not showing you why you should get this at $200 to $300 more than the PlayStation 5 base console. And if you cannot tell the fan base, or you cannot tell the consumer, or show the consumer what they're getting, what's the bang for their buck, a lot of consumers aren't tech savvy enough to know what PSSR is. You're going to have people like myself calling it a pisser in a box. And the way that information is spread nowadays, the more negative information you have, the more negative information will be spread, the more the algorithm will continue to push negative information towards you. So you will only receive negative information on a product that you were iffy about to begin with, and that within itself is a problem. So if you weren't a fan of Horizon, that, like you see, he's using Horizon right now. Now, those TVs and everything that they're showing you there is optimum. Do you happen to have that optimum situation in order to get the best out of it? I don't believe you do. It's a very finite group that has these abilities to take advantage of it. And I'm just saying, is it something that's a problem and a detriment to Sony? Does this finally, like I said before, I was telling you that the PlayStation 5 Pro had to come out to fulfill a prophecy of hashtag no PlayStation 6. We're going to run it up on these bums. I told you I'm going to keep the boot on Kong's neck this whole generation. And the fact of the matter is, I knew through their hubris they were going to put this machine out. This was the original machine that they were supposed to put out in the beginning. But they couldn't wait. They had to reach the market day and date with the Xbox Series X. They did not want Xbox to have the market to themselves for at least 6 to 8 months. What they should have done, they should have held back. They should have allowed the market to be held by Xbox, but they couldn't risk the loss. They couldn't have a PlayStation 3 generation. They couldn't have a repeat of the 360. So what that do was force them to put out a machine, which I felt was, again, an underpowered juggling machine that would take from the CPU to give to the GPU, or use the GPU to give to the CPU. Not my words, Mark Cerny words. And in doing so, you had a box that you yourself as the company wasn't completely satisfied on. So, i.e., the mid-gen refresh. Xbox themselves put out two machines that we're completely comfortable with. The lower end SKU model to get the lower end people in, to actually have the consumer that they know that purchases and moves the fan base. That's which is the casual, i.e. the S user. I'm an S user myself. I do play casual games, but I use that in other rooms in the household because it's a central hub in order to facilitate my multimedia stuff, right? So now you have the Series X. My Series X's, they are in my gaming section. So I have one here, I have one there, and I have one upstairs inside the other room. You got to realize that it's very niche in order to have something that the company brings forth and they're completely comfortable with. The Xbox is completely comfortable with that stuff. Do apologize again. The Xbox is completely comfortable with the Series X. PlayStation themselves, Sony themselves, was never comfortable with the PlayStation 5, i.e. the Pro. The Pro is the machine that they wanted to deliver. The Pro is the machine that was going to give you the quality that they felt that they were able to push out of the box. I don't think they're able to explain it. As you can see, he's trying to explain to the guy, this is what you're going to see here, and this is what you're going to see here. But the layman doesn't care about those intricacies. That is down to the hardcore gamer, the individual that is steeped in PlayStation to the point where this is a necessary item. The individual that is a tech savvy person that understands that he or she has the cutting edge when it comes to everything. That is the cutting edge, because it has the AI upscaler. Now, you will have other people that will argue that the Series X is a more powerful machine because it's a stable box. The PlayStation 5 Pro still has the same inherent problems of the PlayStation 5. That base is holding the PlayStation 5 Pro back from being absolutely great. That's how I know it's hashtag no PlayStation 6. That's why I know it, because you still have the bottleneck within the box. Yes, you put faster memory in. Yes, you put a 2 terabyte SSD in there. Yes, you got the upscaler in there. But at the core of the problem, your biggest problem was the bottleneck that you had in the CPU, and that bottleneck is still inherent in the box. Therefore, you will run into the same problems. Any game that is CPU bound and CPU reliant will force you to then have the same issues. This is the problems that we're having. This is what you're seeing. This is what you're trying to figure out. And this is what I'm bringing to you. Sony does have a problem. The fan base is not consumed, and the consumer is not going to consume. So you have a problem on your hands. You're going to have a bunch of this. That pushes the PlayStation 6 further out, because you need revenue from this in order to facilitate that. And if the PlayStation 6 is supposed to come out in 2029 and the Xbox is going to drop their new console in 2026, that is 3 years head start. It is a wrap. Hashtag no PlayStation 6. That's exactly what's going to happen. And you guys have to understand, I'm 98% right all the time, and that will happen to you guys. Again, it's nothing wrong with becoming an app. Well, you've seen a lot. We've done a lot. We talked about a lot. And I know you're going to say, yo, King, you wearing the shades now, but you wasn't wearing the shades when you was doing the reporting. How the hell I'm going to do reporting in shades? Right? Why? I got to read, right? I'm sorry. These are not as opaque as my, as my glasses. As you can see, my glasses allow me to read, right? Now, these things here, they're just good for hiding my eyes and blocking the sun and looking, well, hella sexy. But other than that, I want to thank you for showing up and rocking out with me. You could be anywhere, but you're here, and I appreciate that. So if you made it this far in the video, please, if you find anything that you like, hit that like button, share it out. It helps me move around this algorithm to bring more content to you. And if you're a member and you want to become, or you want to become a member, they're the lifeblood of the channel. And for you members, I do appreciate you showing up weekly. New merch is going to be inside stores. Working crafting new merch. New intro should debut this Friday by Sean LeBray. for Xbox Frontline News Fight Night. Now, Fight Night is encompassed to all competition. All right, it's not just limited to fighting games, but this week we will be doing Street Fighter with Terry Bogardus, right? And also Tekken with my man Hachi. Hayachi is back, bro. So, yo, we're going to have some fun. We're going to run it up on these bums. Hashtag no PlayStation 6, but that don't mean no PlayStation dudes are allowed. You guys can show up. And I do appreciate you guys for showing up every day, giving me the smoke, having fun, because that's what it's about. And all of you guys are encouraged to show up. Well, I'm going to take that logo, and being that it's October, I'm throwing it around that Smurf demo because your boy loves me some Smurfs. Is that pause? Is that not pause? Well, I'm going to take it and I'm going to tell you, try to play the Game Pass.